What do you see as the future for Oscar Colás? I know Chris Getz talked about this, but Anthony went into many different ways. Stay in AAA until he figures it out? Package him in a trade? Is it too soon to give up on him, knowing what kind of team Getz wants to construct?
Pick your jumping off point.
The fact that they did what they did last year tells me that they didn't like how the player was developing at the major league level. It's like night and day. They couldn't stop talking about him last offseason and how he was going to take the job or have the chance to take the job in spring training for 2023. And then when he got here, after a month, it's like, that's enough. He hasn't learned anything. He's not listening to any of the instruction we're giving him, and he needs to go down there and get better. Eventually he did and got the call up again. And then like with a month later, they're like, yeah, this is not it. And to send him down again, which the White Sox don't do that often when they bring up a prospect, tells me that they fell very, they were over the Oscar Colás experiment. Now that was different management, but Chris Getz might be thinking, hey, he's going to probably, in his speech to you guys, I believe he said that he's pretty much going to be in the minor leagues to start the season off. And so I think that whatever you need to do to get Oscar Colás off of this organization, do it. If it's a package him in a trade with somebody else, do it, because it seems like you're not going to give him the proper chance to battle again for the right field position, which I wouldn't because of how badly he was this year. But maybe he needs a change of scenery. Maybe that's one of those guys who a change of scenery will do him well. And I think no White Sox fan, or at least any reasonable White Sox fan, would say, you guys messed up with Oscar Colás, because it seemed like they gave him as many chances as they could last year before they just had to throw their hands up and say, this guy's not doing what we need him to do. And so, yeah, if he's on some other organization and becomes the Oscar Colás that everybody envisioned, I would be like, all right, that was just because he needed to change the scenery, and those people worked with him better than what the White Sox did.
I can't imagine you're going to get anything of value in a trade for him at this point after he came up and basically showed you that he couldn't play Major League Baseball, really a lick. So I think what Chris Getz was saying last week was that certainly they're not going to give up on the guy, but he knows from watching him right now that he is not ready for prime time. And so, yes, the idea is that he would start the season in the minor leagues. That doesn't preclude him from coming up at some point next season. It doesn't preclude him from having a very successful year in the minor leagues and showing finally that he is ready come 2025 or something like that. It doesn't eliminate him from the White Sox plans in either the short or long term, I don't think. But that being said, this guy was not ready to be the right fielder last year. Now, remember, we were talking about how well he was doing in spring training. So I'm not sure the White Sox were like, we don't care if he's no good, just put him up. I mean, he had good numbers in the minor leagues in 2022, and he did very well in spring training. I think he earned that spot or that opportunity. He just very clearly, once he got here, was not ready for the major league game twice. So they need him to be a dramatically different and a dramatically improved player for them to give him another opportunity to do that. That being so under that idea, he is not going to be, they're going to need to make the plan for right field without him for 2024. But if they're just going with a veteran stopgap, at some of these open positions so they can better position themselves for 2025, maybe he does work his way back into that conversation. I think right now you're going to see a player who is going to be a minor leaguer next year with the White Sox, and he is going to have to prove to them very strongly that he has mastered the things that they need him to master. That is plate discipline. That is defense. That is the way you're taking the mental approach to the game. Pedro Grifol kept harping on the fact that he just wasn't playing focused. He wasn't focusing out there, and you got to do that. You got to do that before you can do all that, the other stuff. They say you got to walk before you can run. You got to pay attention before you can walk. And so I think that they need him to embrace, or to fix rather, the mental and the emotional sides of his game before they can say he's ready to come back to the big league level.
I asked recently what is more likely, Dylan Cease being traded or Colson Montgomery being on the opening day roster. What is more likely? Oscar Colás being on the opening day roster or Colson Montgomery being on the opening day roster?
Colson Montgomery. I would say that pretty emphatically, and I don't even think that means that there's some gigantic slam dunk assurance that Montgomery will be there. I just think that Colson Montgomery is going to be given the opportunity to show what he can do come spring training. And I don't think that they're going to necessarily, like I just said, they're probably going to, or they're almost certainly going to make their right field plan without Oscar Colás being a part of it for 2024. I think they're going to make their shortstop plan without Colson Montgomery expecting him to be the guy for a full season. Mm-hmm. So I think they're going to go get somebody who can man that position for a full season should he need to. But I can also see Colson Montgomery coming up pretty quick. And I could see them making a plan where, hey, if Colson Montgomery bangs down that door, be it in spring training or be it in July, it's no big deal that he comes up and usurps the position of the guy that they went out and got. And so I think that he will, even if that opportunity is a small one and has a small chance of success come spring, still think he gets that opportunity as opposed to Colás, who they've seen what he can do and they know that he's got a lot of work to do. I don't think they say, oh, wow, Oscar Colás, you proved us all wrong with a great Cactus League play. You've done it again. You've won the everyday job in right field. I don't think there's a real possibility of that happening, at least listening to the way Chris Getz was talking about him last week.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that even if there were good shortstop options for the White Sox with top-of-the-market shortstops available, I don't think the White Sox would be in there because they believe in Colson Montgomery in the future so much. And so it'll be a stopgap. It'll be whoever this guy is coming in, they will know that they're there for just until Colson Montgomery's ready to go. So Colás, I don't see him being on the team at all next year because they soured on him so much. Yeah, Lee, they soured on him big time. And he showed them what type of player that he was when he got to the majors. And so they're probably very hesitant to bring him back and see if he's learned his lesson. But Colson Montgomery is the future.
I mean, Colson's the future. I think Colás is closer, and I don't know. I mean, we heard so much about his offseason work. You talked about the spring training. There isn't a world where he impresses the White Sox enough and maybe shows enough maturity and growth where, hey, we signed not even Adam Duvall. I mean, we signed Travis Jankowski to be our right fielder. It's Jankowski versus Colás. Could he not beat out Gavin Sheets? I don't know. I feel like it's possible that Colás is in the mix, but a strong message needs to be sent on where his current status is with the team. Because, again, he hit the hell out of the ball at times. He had a swinging strike rate of 16% in 2022 in AAA. It was 16% in Major League Baseball. When he went back to AAA, I think it was down to 11%. So I think he's showing that he could be a Major League hitter. I think it's more about the Major League day-to-day thought process and work.
I'd say it's more about the Major League minute-to-minute thought process, right? I think it's about being out there in right field and being ready to go and make a play, not trying to throw a guy out at third base when you got no chance to do so, not trying to turn a regular base hit into a double just because you're trying really hard. I mean, that becomes irresponsible, and those are the things that we saw on a daily basis from Oscar Colás. And so you're right, but I think I would agree more with what Sean's saying than what you're saying, Herb, because I think you're saying, I've seen enough of that guy, I never need to see him again. And that might be true, but I think the White Sox went out and invested in this guy. They saw the kind of talent. They are not going to just say, guess that one didn't work out. You had 2 months and you blew it kind of thing. I think they need to see a lot of growth from him, but I don't think they're ready to say, this is over, we're never going to see him again. I could see both those guys on the team come the summer if they show that they're ready for that. But to what you were saying, Sean, a year ago this time, we were talking about him already having the job, that they were planning for him to be the guy, like Rick Hantz talking at the GM meeting saying, don't forget about this guy, he could be it, which is to say, this is the guy that we want to be in right field, and that's how it ended up playing out. I think Chris Getz goes out and makes a plan for 2024 at both shortstop and right field that, hey, it's okay if neither of those two guys come up in 2024 because we're going to have somebody who can man those positions. But in the event that they do, and in the, perhaps in his mind, ideal situation in which they do, it's okay if the two guys that we bring in, we say, you're bench players now.
The only reason I say it is because, as Wendell brings up, the GM currently, Chris Getz, saw Oscar Colás for years. 1 year in 2022 where he was hitting the ball off the cover, and then last year in 2023 where he had to go up and down. And so maybe he's thinking he doesn't have anything vested into the player because he didn't draft or he didn't sign him as an international free agent. So he's like, I saw him. I'm good on the attitude. I'm good on what he does for me, and what he can be in the major leagues for me doesn't really affect my bottom line because I'll be going out to go and get a right fielder who is more permanent. At least that's what I hope he'll be thinking about, instead of trying to leave the position open for maybe Colás to compete. But he has no skin in the game for him. He didn't pick this guy. That's not his guy. And so with the experience he's had with Oscar Colás, he has nothing invested in him. And so you see him doing new moves and getting people out of here that he doesn't think are the White Sox vision that he believes in and going forward. And so that's why I could say him saying, we're good on Oscar Colás and we don't need to see him up here, and not being part of a deal where he's the headliner, just like here's a throw-in. Oscar Colás is part of your deal.
No, that seems so short-sighted because, I mean, again, the vision that you're talking about, Chris Getz's vision, it seems like it is directly in place to help guys like Oscar Colás who just aren't getting it, who aren't understanding
he's 26, so he's going to be 26.
Right, but I mean, he's also not – he's played less than 50 games in the Major League Baseball.
Also, they've already spent money on the guy, too.
They did, but not Chris Getz.
But Jerry did.
How much did he spend, though? I mean, I think
it was a decent amount.
But the biggest thing is, like, the whole idea of Chris Getz's vision is to get an organization in place to set the barometer of what work needs to look like for a major league player. If he puts in that work, he's a better player already than Gavin Sheets. Like, that's all I'm saying is, like, I don't think that this kid is done for because he is now 26 years old. It's traumatic. It's just, really life-changing to become 26. People just stop looking at you the same way.
You're 26, and then you're going to get your second opportunity as a real Major League Baseball player. How long do we have to wait? This is not Ryan Howard. Like, is he going to – if he turns into Ryan Howard, smooth. But, like, the clock is already ticking on this man. He's not a 21, 22-year-old guy where you can wait and say, okay, another year in the minors would be good. A 27-year-old pretty much rookie coming up? No. I think that this ship has sailed. To put all the eggs in the basket already like they did this past year, I think that would be foolhardy for him to do. And I could see him just keeping him on just because you don't get any, player back that you necessarily want or need. But I'm sure that he's like, ugh, what he did last year just soured me on him. It soured me on him. Herb Lawrence soured me on what Oscar Colás can do because you got your opportunity. You had a clear vision and a clear field to be a Major League Baseball player twice, and you failed both times. It's like that to me tells me that he's not ready for prime time. And I'm sure Chris Getz saw much more than that. And some of the stuff that focus that Vinnie was talking about that Pedro Grifol said, I'm sure that Pedro's not a big fan of his either.
I mean, certainly not last year, but here's the thing. Chris Getz told us at the at the GM meetings, you can't give up on a guy that has this kind of talent. And so I don't think they're going to. And you're talking about souring on him. That's you souring on him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can say Chris Getz is. He's said basically the opposite, saying that they don't want to give up on the guy. They want to make sure that he gets the development that he needs to get. They got to try hard. He's got to try hard. And I think at the end of the day, there's a realistic possibility that he makes it back here next year with the White Sox. Absolutely. I don't think they're just saying, oh, well, he didn't do it in those 2 months. So that's it. On to the next guy. And when you talk about finding a more permanent solution in right field, mm-hmm. What sort of opportunities are there to do that? I mean, I don't think they might find a guy for 1 year, but I don't think they're certainly not going to say, well, we have Oscar Colás, so we can't go sign the guy that we want to a 4-year contract. But I mean, what's to stop them from just signing some guy to a 1-year deal and saying maybe Colás will be there again in a year later?
Oscar Hernandez, Larry Scorio. Come on, we've got some people.
How big do you think their budget is? Those guys are at least going to be like 10 million plus.
Oh, man. Please, Jesus. Give me Teoscar Hernandez in right field.
We just talked about their budget being declined. Do you think they're going to put Teoscar Hernandez in right field?
That's not that much money.
It's Whit Merrifield and Travis Jankowski, my friend.
That's not that much money. He's not at the top of the market. He's not even close to the top of the market.
Before we finally move on from Oscar Colás, I do want to answer Wendell's question down here. He's asking, is he playing winter ball?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not. I thought he wasn't.
No, I thought he was.
He told us at the end of last year that he was.
And I don't think he is.
What, did he change his mind?
Yeah, I think so.
He's in trouble then.
I'm pretty sure I saw.
Pedro was very adamant that he go play.
But I haven't.
ball.
Yeah, I haven't seen.
And then
it.
he said that he was going to.
I think something came out from one of the. Yeah, I think. Let me. I'm trying to tap.
They said he was going to. There's your answer.
They said they were going to, but I don't think they.
Yeah, and I remember that conversation, like, and then like immediately, like he got an answer, like, yes, we got him going. I remember we even had like a team, or what league he was going to be in. So I'll be very surprised if he doesn't make it to winter ball. That would stamp his ouster from the White Sox if he doesn't go to the winter ball as they want him to do.
Francis Romero at Francis Romero
geez.
FR. That is FRANCYS Romero FR. Baseball and sports reporter. Oscar Colás, Cuban outfielder. Oscar Colás will no longer play in this winter league season with the Toros del Este in the Dominican Republic. The White Sox will seek to focus on training and preparation during the offseason to opt for a spot on the 2024 opening day roster.
There you go.
So and that was on November 8th.
Okay.
Is he hurt?
I don't think so. Yep,
Interesting.
Oscar Colás, this is from a different Lidom thing, says that Colás decided it was better to prepare personally than to play in Lidom.
All right. Well, we've got some questions then come the winter meetings because the benefits of him participating in that were talked up quite heavily at the end of last year. So if it was the White Sox decision as that tweet maybe kind of presented it a little bit, I wonder if they've just got kind of a different idea.
Funny, too, because I think that's the team that Aloy played for Pedro on. I think that was the team Pedro was the manager of in 2014 or whatever.
This is not the Larry Hanser team.
No.
Okay.
It might be. Well, now let me check. No, I don't think so. No, this is the Yermin team.
Oh,
this is the Yermin team.
Maybe they don't want him to be around him.
Yeah, he's listed. Yermin Mercedes listed as a receptatore.
Or
catcher.
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 Speaking Spanish.
I thought that was maybe a special status with the Toros.
Oh, is Domingo Germán actually pitching this? No way. They have a ton of pitchers. I can't find the actual roster. I don't know if this is updated or not.
The Yermin team.
Possibly the Yermin team.
We all silly like the mayor.